Hello everyone, I'm Brior, and today I'm feeling rather unethical. I thought therefore now would be a wonderful time to teach my viewers how to take advantage of design flaws within Goodgame Empire. As usual for my quick tips videos, I'll be presenting some random suggestions I hope you will find helpful, but the twist for this episode is that all of these tips are of questionable morality. A few things ought to be mentioned before we begin. 1. Following these tips won't get you banned. 2. All of these tips can be performed by any player in the game and don't require external applications. 3. The developers are aware of them. 4. It's possible that some workarounds, originally introduced to the game by mistake, have been left in the game on purpose. 5. The game may be updated to eliminate these exploits, so they might not work forever. Keep that in mind, especially if you're watching this video in the distant future. And finally, 6. Use these tips responsibly. Some of them are always good ideas, while others might lead to angry players and other unwelcome consequences. With that all out of the way, I think it's due time we jump into the video. Tip number 1. Stealing resource villages the easy way. If you've been the stable owner of resource villages for a while, you may have forgotten the epic struggle most of us went through to get them. We all know how important they are. It's difficult to feed more than a few hundred troops in any of the Outer Kingdoms without them, and yet the rate at which they spawn has slowed to a crawl. Those which do appear always do so on the very edges of the map. When you enter any of the Outer Kingdoms nowadays, it's likely you'll be placed on an empty tract of land in the center of the map, left behind by a player who went to ruins, possibly because he didn't have any RVs. The developer intended for players to fight for control of villages, but this couldn't be further from reality on the United States server. Taking resource villages from other players is stealing, says the community, and doing so will get you attacked by and booted from most alliances. In all likelihood, stealing will also make you the recipient of some nasty in-game messages. So, if you don't have them currently, how can you go about getting RVs? My actual suggestion is to join a better alliance that can help you, but my unethical suggestion is to make use of the small message limit in players' inboxes. Each player can store only 25 battle and espionage reports in his inbox at any given time, with new reports pushing old ones out. If you steal a player's resource village and then purposefully flood his inbox with caught spy messages, he'll probably have some questions for you, but may be none the wiser about his missing RVs. Most players won't think to record the locations of their resource villages in advance, and thus, when they realize they are missing some, will have no way of finding those which they've lost. You could steal the resource villages with one account and bomb spies with another, but that would violate the rule against multi-accounting. Be advised, this trick isn't going to work against players who are online, have large alliances to protect them, or who have recorded the coordinates of their RVs and can put 2 and 2 together. Tip number 2. Secret equipment combinations. Alright, fine, I'll admit it. I'm still bitter about the gems update that happened a few months back. In case you've forgotten, Goodgame Studios changed the way commander bonuses work so that gems, which had previously been unrestricted, are now counted under and limited by equipment attribute caps. If the implications of this aren't immediately obvious to you, please consider watching the video I made about it, which I'll link to in the description. The change got rid of many overpowered commanders and castellans, but not all of them, so let me give you 2 unintended equipment combinations. The first is a sneaky commander, made using pieces from the Spring set and the Invader set. This commander boasts the maximum possible ranged combat strength, travel speed, and late detection, making it perfect for sending quick attacks. Use this commander in fast-moving troops, such as assassins or samurai renegades, against castles lacking watchtowers for the best results. The second is a Gate Castellan, assembled using 2 Kala gems and either the Ice Castellan or the Spring Castellan as a base, depending upon which you own. The Ice Castellan is slightly better for this purpose, but I didn't want to invest 20 million coins into maxing out another equipment set anytime soon. The resulting Castellan will give you the maximum possible gate protection, allowing you to hold the center of your defense against even some of the strongest 6-wave attacks. This combination works because of the 2-piece set bonus, which you must use 2 different Kala gems to obtain. Tip number 3. Inflating might points. Might points themselves are not important, but I have a feeling this tip will entertain some of you nevertheless. Note that I currently have 725,000 might points. I'll now go to my castles in the Everwinter Glacier, the Burning Sands, and the Fire Peaks. I'll send all of my troops from these castles to my nearby resource villages. I'll wait for them to get there, and when they do, I'll log out. Then I'll log back in. I'll then go back to each kingdom and recall my troops from the villages. Now we wait. After a few minutes, if you are able to send a lot of troops, you should see a drastic change to your might points. This is a known bug in the game that has been around for quite a while. Troops recently recalled from resource villages are counted twice over. The artificially inflated value will go back to normal after a while, or you can make it go back to normal immediately by refreshing the page. Using this trick might help you to pick up the rewards associated with each tier of might points, but other than that, it doesn't have any practical purpose. Tip number 4, sending tools through Berimond. I've mentioned this before in many videos, so I'll be brief about it here. Sending troops between the kingdoms can be very expensive, but you can avoid the cost by sending your tools to the Battle of Berimond for free. After the battle is over, all of your regular troops and tools stationed at your campaign camp will automatically return to your main castle without incurring any costs. This tip only works if you're sending tools from the Outer Kingdoms to Green, but that's all I ever have to do, so it's perfect for me. Tip number 5, reducing research costs. You may have noticed new projects were recently added to the research tower, and some of them require a greater number of resources than it is possible to store at any given time. There are 3 ways to go about conducting this research. The first is to increase your storage space using build items for the stonemason and/or the sawmill, but this isn't a very attractive option. Why? It requires the player waste valuable materials researching and constructing these build items, while also requiring the stonemason and/or the sawmill remain built in the player's main castle while research is being performed. A better solution is to build the lesser-known research cost reduction build item, which gets applied to the research tower itself. This isn't an exploit, it's just something most players aren't aware of. A third possible solution is to purchase resources from the traveling merchant and/or win them from the Wheel of Fortune. Resources obtained in this way will be placed in your storehouse regardless of whether or not they actually fit. Again, not really an exploit, but certainly an alternative method. Tip number 6, trading tools. Thanks to labs, monuments, and resource villages, it's more than possible to trade tools between players. The process is simple. The player giving away the tools sends them to one of the aforementioned locations. The player taking the tools captures that location from the first player. Done! This is a pretty great way to shuffle tools from a high-level player who can get them with ease to a low-level player who certainly can't. Both attack tools and defense tools can be traded, so this method is also good for giving powerful defense tools like limes to low-level players. Tip number 7, selling looks. Looks are pieces of equipment which transform the appearance of your castle or attacking armies, and you've probably already heard gems can be applied to them. This is absolutely true, but I'm confident the developer intended this to be the case. Looks are different from other types of equipment in that they expire and are deleted after a certain amount of time, normally 7 or 14 days. Instead of letting your look expire, you can sell it for coins right beforehand. This tip might help low-level players who pick up looks as event prizes from holiday events. Tip number 8, starving other players using Wolfhounds. This tip combines sneaky commanders with looting commanders. If you have one that fits the bill for both, you can send Wolfhounds at unsuspecting players to loot all of their food. Some players will open their gates in order to avoid their attackers being killed. Players who open their gates won't have access to safe storage, which means you can loot all of their food and potentially starve out some of the troops in their castle. Wolfhounds are a great option for this because they are relatively easy to obtain and they move very quickly. So long as you use the proper commander with looting gems, you won't have to send a large number of Wolfhounds to get the job done. Alright ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any sinister tips of your own, I welcome you to leave them in the comment section below. Thanks again for watching, thank you as always for your patience, in terms of me making videos, and I will see you in the next one.